Hey siblings, Maureen here. I just concluded a class this evening, and while sitting down, while the camera was still rolling, I decided to share 7 ways I practiced self improvement, or 7 ways I still practice self improvement once in a while. My intention is that someone is going to watch this video and learn how to practically improve themselves, or how to practically put in the work that is required in the journey of self improvement. Okay, so number one, first, I had to recognize and acknowledge my discontent for the present condition I was not comfortable with anymore. I believe that before you improve anything, you must have gotten to that point where you are no longer comfortable with the status quo. You are no longer comfortable with the outcomes of your life at that present time. I believe that that is the foundation of every healthy self improvement that has to happen. Number two, I envisioned my future self in her healthiest state, right? I believe that the power of the mind is a gift that God gave to us, and in order for me to improve my life, I must harness this power of the mind that God has given to me and imagine what my life would be in future. As a believer, it's always important for you to do this self-improvement exercise or self-evaluation exercise or envisioning exercise with the person of the Holy Spirit, because he's the one who knows your spirit. He is God. He's the one who has gone ahead of you. He's the one who has an idea of the blueprint and design for your life from the beginning of time, even before you were born, even before your parents met. It's always important to stand upon the shoulders of the Holy Spirit, so he can give you a picture, he can give you a peek into the life that God intended for you from the very beginning. Number three, I identified the areas I needed improvement in my life. So if I discovered first that I was discontent and uncomfortable with certain outcomes of my life, and I envisioned my future self, the next thing I did, which is number three, was to identify the different areas of my life where I actually need the improvement. In order for me to get to my future self, I have to recognize what I need to do to get me to that point. Intentional stages of development is. So I would just like to add that systematic learning is very important. I know there's so much information everywhere, but it's important for you to identify the right information that you need for your life part time. Just because you have a wide variety of information or knowledge does not mean you should just dabble into everything, right? So identify the actual areas where you need improvement and put in the work there. Number four, I sought out knowledge in the different areas that I had identified that I needed improvement. I read up on the Wheel of Life at one point, and the Wheel of Life basically identifies 7 key areas of the human life, and I began to study my life based on those 7 areas, and I began to identify and to seek out the knowledge that I need to have to help me develop those 7 areas of my life, right? So you can also do that. Search for the Wheel of Life on Google and ask yourself pertinent questions how you can intentionally develop those 7 areas of your life. Number 5, I committed to learning what I needed to learn so I can manifest and give expression to that envisioned self that God had shown me, right? So I believe that just because you have sought knowledge does not mean you have actually made the commitments to learn. So for me, I had to take the initiative to, yes, seek out the information, but then to intentionally commit to learning, right? Because there are different stages of knowledge acquisition, there are different stages of learning. Seeking out the information is vital, but then putting in the work, committing to gathering this knowledge is also very vital. So Make a commitment to learn as much as you can in the direction of your future, in the direction of where your life is headed, in the direction that the Holy Spirit has shown you. That way, at every point in time, when people meet you, they will meet you always doing something that is connected to the envisioned life that the Holy Spirit has shown you. So number 6 is I had to start applying the knowledge that I was acquiring as time began to unfold. So the purpose of knowledge acquisition is not just the accumulation of knowledge or the acquisition of knowledge. Every knowledge that you pick up must get to the point where it makes you change a behavior, or it influences a behavioral change in you and ultimately help you improve your life outcomes. I don't just learn for learning's sake. I learn so I can apply the knowledge that I'm learning so it can improve my life outcome. Knowledge must always lead to the point of self-improvement or improvement of my decisions in my behavior. So again, something that helped me was recognizing the various stages of learning. One is the stage of knowledge acquisition. That is where you begin to pick up knowledge, where you begin to pay attention to learning. You become a very voracious learner. And then the second stage of learning is what we call understanding. Identifying and recognizing the key principles that backing up what you have learned, right? There is an understanding behind every knowledge that's ultimately going to help you enjoy the outcome that that knowledge has in store for you. So it's important for you to understand what you have learned, how to apply it so you can enjoy the benefit or the result of that particular knowledge. And then number 3 stage is wisdom. Wisdom for me is basically the right application of the knowledge that you have gained. Every knowledge that you pick up, there is something that you have to do. So for every knowledge that you gain, that you get to the point that you understand that knowledge, there is something to do. And then the part of you that eventually goes to apply that knowledge that you have come to understand is what makes you a wise person. So these are stages of learning. So the last thing on my journey of self-improvement is what I call the self-evaluation or self-quizzing. I believe that every once in a while we must practice self-evaluation, where you begin to ask yourself questions to ascertain how far you are from your envisioned future self or how close you have journeyed, right? Just because you have the picture of where you're journeying to does not mean you are actually going there. It does not mean you are intentionally journeying towards that future. It also does not mean that you're just going to get there automatically, right? Sometimes you might unconsciously experience detours in your journey. It's important for you to always evaluate yourself, evaluate your actions, your decisions, evaluate your outcomes, evaluate the decisions, the things that you applied, right, that has affected your outcome, that has improved your outcome, that is bringing you closer to this envisioned future that you have seen for yourself. I believe that self-evaluation is very vital because it can help you redirect if you have made a mistake or if you have gone on a path that's not leading you to where you are going. I also believe that self-evaluation gives you an insight of how far you are from that picture of your tomorrow, how close you are, and then you make a change. So before I call this video a wrap, there's something you should know. The journey of self-improvement is a lifelong journey. You don't just practice these 7 things I mentioned here once and think that you have it covered for life, right? Because you're going to get to a point where what you wanted to be in 2015 is who you are now, but it's not who you're going to be tomorrow. You're going to keep changing, you're going to keep growing, you're going to keep wanting new things, right? So it's important for you to always apply the self-improvement exercises at every point in time, bearing in mind that change is always going to happen, but it's important that this change that is going to happen through you is within the confines of your control. I understand that you might not be able to control everything in life, but then there's a measure of control that you have about your life. There's a measure of control that God has given you about your life, about your outcomes, and about your decisions. Don't go into life assuming that you do not have any control whatsoever. That is one of the lies that perhaps our society has erroneously taught us. You have a role to play in your journey to becoming the best version of yourself. Play it.
You know you're more than blood, soul, and bones. Blood, soul,